on a surface level, how does your approach to audio design or sound design or composing differ, like from, between different media formats such as video games versus film versus adverts versus whatever that I'm not aware of? We'd love to hear about that.
I guess I can start this one. For video games, it's because it's not linear. That's a huge difference between the film TV world. But I feel like the creative part is still the same between all the different forms, because we're all going to create in a DAW, right? So that's something that's the same. But like for every different platform or media, there's always like loudness standards that you need to consider, or like dynamic range. But with games specifically, we have to consider other platforms, consoles, memory, budget, codecs, and also like exporting the audio is also different. Different, if it's mono or stereo or multi-channel, and that kind of thing.
Do you get to decide all those things that you just mentioned at your job?
No. That's there's the audio director will usually have a set of standards to go by. So in turn, so yeah, ambience will be at one level, and specific sound effects and foley will be at another level, etc.
Yeah, it's a big audio team. Yeah, working all together. Gotcha. How about you, Erin?
Yeah, I think the first thing, like I can agree on, is that like the creative approach is almost always the same. You do like some general spotting, or like gather every bit of material and references and like descriptions, adjectives, concept art, whatever's available to you. And you do that in linear design, and you do that in game design. But designing for games is like almost a bit more of an outwards in approach in a way, if that makes sense. It's like you have to consider all the variables and where it lives before you approach the design. Like, how will it be interacted, or how will this be interacted with? How far away can it be heard? Or like, when will it play? When do I not want this to play? Then you throw in like more variables from VR. Often you're receiving more information, like values for the player interactions and arm swings and stuff like that. So yeah, all these things really contribute to the design itself. And that's just like, there's just like a whole nother layer that you have to consider outside of just the creative approach.
Gotcha. How about you, Dan? What is your secret?
Oh, I've got too many. I don't have a whole lot left to add, to be honest. I think you both nailed it already. Yeah, I would reiterate really that you're kind of painting everything on the same canvas at the end of the day. Whether it's AR, VR, games, films, whatever, adverts. It is you kind of have to start linear and then break it apart. If it's a game, you then have to break it apart into its components and kind of reconstitute it into a so that it works for a game in a non-linear structure. I suppose that's the main difference for games for me, really. I suppose the only other thing I'd add is if I'm working on something that's really short, like an advert, I tend to go for the trickiest bit first and get that out of the way. So you kind of got the cornerstone to work around. Like features and TV, they're different beasts, but they're still linear. You have whole teams of people helping you out on those. So it's although they're much bigger projects, you usually have a bit more resource to sort of tackle the issues.
Yeah, that's what is the issue? Sorry, when you are saying like the I do usually tackle the most complicated one first, like what can you give us an example?
I don't know. They kind of go in one ear and out the other. But if it was an advert for a, I don't know, fridge with a monster that jumps out of a wall and says, "Hey, here's a fridge," I haven't done this. you know, you start with the monster's voice or something kind of iconic to the advert that's going to it's going to be the sort of audio touchstone of the whole thing.
Yeah,
And then you
core
can go
part
and
of
like
it.
adding in the explosion through the wall and the debris. That's kind of more. It's probably a bit more easy to do, maybe, because you know you'll just go and grab all your rock sounds and everything else and piece it together. But it's the voice of the creature that's going to be that the director's
Yeah.
going to have notes on. They're not going to care
Right.
about the rubble. They're going
The
to care if
yeah,
this thing
how
is.
much debris you have.
Yeah, they're going to be like, maybe add
Gotcha.
some more
Yeah.
bricks, but you know, if you're trying to if you're trying to nail the tone of a voice of an alien or something, that's the thing that people are going to have opinions on.
Yeah. So more like characterization stuff usually takes a little bit longer to
For sure,
get
yeah,
it
for
right.
sure.